can do on some of these power picks in the top lane like Poppy and Fiora. It's been quite a pleasure to watch. Meanwhile, Kuro still at #1 overall in kills in the league.
51 kills in 10 games. Obviously the math there, just over 5 a game. To give you context, Bang is second with 50, but that's in 2 more games. So Kuro certainly has been racking up the kills. He's one of the people that we've mentioned the least, but his step up right at the tail end of summer season, ironically around the same time his good friend Prey started to improve their performance, was what launched them to that World Championship and obviously overall to the 2nd place. And he hasn't skipped a beat, at least for the start of the 2016 season.
That he hasn't, and the Quinn will be banned against him again. SK Telecom did actually beat him when he was playing Quinn, but a lot of teams don't want to deal with that. Lulu and Poppy rounding out the ban, so ROX here is going to grab the Corki right off the bat. And you know, that's a bit interesting to me because Samsung actually has been picking Corki, but they haven't looked very good with it.
And also this is the Victor available and not selected. Victor has been one of the big champions specifically for Crown, and
Kuro.
For Kuro, of course, but that's always been the case. He's only actually played it twice this season. But Crown has been playing a lot of Victor. And the thing for me about Samsung, the thing that I want them to overcome is that it feels like all their performing members have specific champions that when they play that champion, they look like this top team that they've been right at the top of the table with this season. But when they get away from, say, Crown on Victor, Cuvate, Poppy, and Lissandro's been picked, also the Alistair coming through from Wraith, those champions, their win rate through the roof. When they start to lose some of those champions, the win rates come down.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised to see the Lucian taken instead of the Alistair this early on. At least, of course, that big priority jungle pickup, and Peanut will be going with that one. So Lucian instead of the Alistair, certainly a pick that a lot of teams believe should be taken first on the blue side here in Korea.
And while Wraith might be an excellent Alistair player, and then we have some question marks about his other champion pool, Gorilla's an excellent Alistair player and also plays everything else. And I hear your audible gasp because one of the kings of Fiora has picked up their champion.
Yeah, just surprising. We don't normally see Fiora taken so early, but he must be very confident into any matchup that Cuvée can throw at him.
And look, you look at the draft from Samsung, it's pretty much the KT special of Victor and Lucian for strong wave clear, and then scoping up for a last round pick of the Fiora. So it's kind of a blocker pick. Corki uniquely does have a bit of lane pressure onto the Victor, both pre-6 and even after the Victor picks up his death ray to be able to get that quick wave clear. So I don't mind the decision. And look, Samsung might actually be trying to pull off something that a lot of teams have struggled to do. Cuvée has been an excellent Lissandra, but consistently we've seen Fiora's outscaling Lissandra's in that top lane matchup. The only team that got around that matchup was really smart pathing by Chaser and Jinair, who did manage to actually tip it towards Lissandra.
Yeah, and we have seen a lot of Lissandra bans specifically targeted at Cuvée. People know that this is his best champion. So they show their solo lanes early. This is going to give some flexibility on the blue side of the draft. To the Tigers, was that Corki an AD carry? Is he a mid laner? Questions remain, and for Lissandra, Samsung saying we want to group up for team fights in the mid and late game. Cuvée has had very good teleport flank initiations on that champion and wants to make that performance again. Meanwhile, the TF Elise combo providing a lot of kill pressure in that top side. Cuvée is going to have to be very careful.
And suddenly you don't even need those wards, Monty, because you're going to have a strong ganking jungle in Elise backed up by the Twisted Fate. Can match wave clear with the Victor, but this is going to be another pressure game coming through from the ROX Tigers. All these champions going to have strong laning phases until, of course, Fiora can outscale the Lissandra. So there is still counterplay for Samsung. I want to see specifically Rek'Sai playing around the mid lane because you can certainly get on top of that Twisted Fate and delay him having any good global impact.
And the Thresh, no surprise that Wraith always seems to be okay giving up some of these other picks in favor of taking the Thresh. So not going to be too bothered by the Alistair. But having to go up against the Alistair Corki lane will be Lucian and Thresh. And TF, they saw what was going on in that mid lane early on with the Victor pick, and we do see the Tigers going for the Twisted Fate once again, but a very aggressive composition, and they are just looking for that wave clear. They've got great poke damage, and the 4-1 split, if ROX get into 25-30 minutes, is going to be a huge problem for Samsung.
I think it's all about the Twisted Fate once again. We've seen a lot of Twisted Fate play, especially in week 3, and a lot of it's left a lot to be desired. We've seen Twisted Fates leaving lane and losing their turret, or some misfires on some turret dives from Faker yesterday. The difference between top-tier, clean Twisted Fate play and just making those mistakes is often objective, specifically mid-turrets, that without that sort of factor being considered, we've seen mid-turrets live to 30, 35 minutes in the game. Twisted Fate leaves lane, Victor's going to push up, they're going to lose structure, so ROX need to be on the ball with these Destiny plays.
Well, fortunately, Papa Smithy, they've been pretty on the ball so far with their
fair.
Twisted Fate play. They've made it look very good. And they'll have that opportunity once more. We'll see if Smeb will get fed early on in this game, because in a late game team fight where Samsung can force fights at Baron or force fights at Dragon, they are going to be quite potent with the amount of AoE that they have, and core on what has proved to be his best champion in Lucian this season.
The 5v5, very nice coming through from Samsung. It's just getting to a 5v5 phase where Fiora's not dominating the off lane is the kind of question mark for Samsung.
Yeah, that's the trick though right now, and there's a reason why some of these teams like ROX and KT, who have top laners like Smeb and Someday, have been doing so well with this pick. If you know how to play around it, you can be a force to be reckoned with, and you can single-handedly win the game. See if it happens. ROX versus Samsung, game 1. ROX Tigers looking to remain undefeated here in their second match of the week. 2 big hurdles remaining for them in the first round robin. Samsung and the Jin Air Green Wings. One of them could be cleared tonight and leave ROX with a very easy schedule to round out the remaining few weeks.
Aggression actually coming in from the ROX Tigers.
Which is pretty odd. We almost never see these invades early on in the game, so a couple deep wards coming through. Smeb checking out the Krugs, trying to suss out whether there will be some sort of lane swap. Kuro recalls just to top up his HP, and we are going to see standard lanes at the beginning of this game.
And I have to think the ROX have their suspicions about this Samsung draft. Very infrequently do we see Lissandra drafted into the Fiora. It's usually the Fiora answer, perhaps on the red side, when it comes to that pick. So they were obviously very confident to pick this pick in, and that, I guess, suggests to me that Ambition will have to play around this lane, because look, very strong CC, especially at level 6 for Lissandra. You can get the Lissandra going, but there will always be that tipping point. All you can hope to do is delay it later and later into the game, because eventually, and whether that's 25 minutes, 30 minutes, 35 minutes, Fiora will be able to easily account for Lissandra in the top lane.
That's the big issue. So can Samsung force some other fights? Kuro here going with the Ghost this game and not the extra teleport, so we will have less of a 1-3-1 split push possibility here.
Crown also taking the cleanse, so won't have the ability to follow his laner into the bottom lane. Worrying to give extra global presence to the ROX Tigers, who, Gorilla included, don't often even need the globals to have excellent map movement, make those gank plays across the map.
But it comes down to how free this Twisted Fate is going to be, and the kill pressure in both top and bottom lanes. Excellent synergy with the Elise. Taking a look at some stats right now. 6 KDA for Peanut. Ambition definitely Rek'Sai, his favorite jungler. 16 and 12 so far on that pick. Peanut 3-0, undefeated so far on Elise. Here we go, the Cocoon coming in. Smeb just going to start with the aggression right away, and that's just going to be a kill. First blood right there with the flash and the dash out. There's no follow-up. Ambition is coming, though. He's going to tunnel into the tri-brush. Smeb on the run. There's the Braceseeker flash on Burrow. Cocoon, though. Smeb trying to get away from this one. There's the TP right back into lane. Peanut has to flash out. Smeb leaving via the river, and Twisted Fate is there to back him up. Braceseeker not going to be enough. Just a little bit of a tickle there on the escape, and Ambition there didn't look like he was quite dedicated to one of these targets. He decided to pursue Peanut, but I think had he stuck with Smeb, he might have been able to pick up that kill.
Turret dive wasn't also the cleanest that we've seen from the ROX Tigers, but brute force gets it done in the end, so that's already going to be some extra gold over to Smeb, and that timer we were talking about, 25, 30 minutes. Every kill or situation like this where suddenly Smeb actually has a degree of lane control only brings that timer earlier.
Yeah, it looked like he had a riposte too on the Frost Nova there. Wanted to take a look at that one again. It looked like they had 2 stuns, so maybe we'll get lucky and get a replay, Papa Smithy.
Probably not.
Probably not.
It's nice to want things, Monte Cristo.
Immediate start off here with a No Magic Mantle for the Fiora in the top lane, alongside the Boots and the Corrupting Potion. So we'll have to play a little bit more cautiously. And you can see Smeb starting to drag this lane back towards him as QV pushes it up with his Q.
We didn't mention it, but to clarify once again, just like the rest of this week, we're on patch 6.1 with Kindred disabled. Peanut, especially with Kindred not being able to be picked, has definitely been heavily leaning on the Elise. We saw the 100% win rate so far in 3 games. This has been his pick. Whenever he has an open jungle pool, he'll go for the Elise, able to outduel basically any of the meta junglers at the moment.
Yeah, still though, fun to see him on the Graves too. It's not, I mean, this is a perfect meta for Peanut, really. If you want to have that carry jungler on your team, somebody with excellent mechanics who can outplay the opposition, well, Peanut is ready to go, unlike perhaps a Bengi, who has been struggling a bit more as the depth of his champion pool just not quite there at the moment. I mean, we even saw the Nidalee ban coming through. People are very worried about how much Peanut can do for the Tigers in the early game. Vision is here. Not going to be seen with the Tremor Sense. He's going to check it, though. And Peanut misses the cocoon, has to repel out immediately. Ambition trying to come around, so not much going down so far. Peanut coming back. Not going to find another cocoon here as Smeb just dashes out.
Peanut's there to relieve pressure. Heavily suspicious of the Lissandra draft into Fiora, so expecting Ambition to play around that lane.
And QV does have a CS lead at the very least. Will be pretty much equalized by this next wave. But that big scaling question remains about how to deal with this Fiora who's already starting to get an advantage.
Kuro is able to push in mid lane. This is a luxury he only has before Victor can pick up his Hexco upgrade. Cheating out of lane. He's already popped the Destiny.
Yeah, there's Wraith too. He gets pumped back by the Alistair headbutt. Kuro there going to flash follow up with a gold card, going to get hooked, but Prey will clean this one up. Who do they want to give it to? The answer is Kuro. Very deliberate handover of that kill by the ROX Tigers, and we saw just a flash pull knockback there from Gorilla, and what good timing from the Tigers. Kuro ready and waiting to pick up that kill.
I mean, the timing was on full display, Monty, because that was actually literally the minion that he hit 6, cheated out of lane, went out of vision. He had a blue card already locked, so perhaps Crown wasn't really going to be straight to call. Crown was only level 5 himself, but instant reaction specifically from Gorilla. They pick up the kill, and
that timing really couldn't have been any more perfect. I mean, the Tigers, they always just seem one step ahead on the map these days, planning well in advance of where they can execute. And once again, we see that synergy, Gorilla and Kuro comboing up to pick up the kill on the bottom side, and we're already up 1,000 gold, and here comes Gorilla.
Gorilla's already one of his trademark roams.
There he is, punting him into the wall. He will be stopped there by the Lissandra W.
800 gold, and suddenly Gorilla unleashed on the map. He's finally given up the Moby boots. He's willing to buy swiftness on Alistair finally. Good to see.
Making that change. Well, you know what, Papa Smithy, that actually ruined that gank, because had he been there faster, he might have been able to pick up that kill without QV responding.
Fair point. I feel like the swiftness boots will be useful later.
But for now, they have been a liability. A little bit of a roam right there, but with Prey left all the way in the bottom side, just farming at his turret, not going to be any issue. Ambition here just trying to make sure that nothing untoward happens to QV while he denies some CS and tries to reverse this wave. Ambition still waiting, but there has been a brush in that top side in the lane, so Ambition has been seen coming in. Meanwhile, Peanut just staying outside of vision. Won't see any kind of dive. Kuro there too, just moving up in anticipation of the possibility of something happening. Smeb burning his teleport to get right back into lane. His tower is taking a decent amount of chip damage. Meanwhile, Kube just stacking up on those Doran's rings. Tiamat already done for Smeb.
See, one of the luxuries having a high-pressure jungle like Peanut gives you. There's actually 2 pink wards, now 3 on the top side of this jungle in the river that have been able to put down, just because Peanut's always been on the front foot, Ambition's been slightly on the back foot. When you have exclusive vision and a Twisted Fate, when you can't have any semblance of complete information about Twisted Fate, when he starts to leave that mid lane, suddenly means that those Destiny gank percentages go from, 50, 40% to much higher.
Absolutely. The wards are starting to go down, though, so they can keep track of Kuro. They have one in the mid lane to track his roams and one cheating up in towards the top river, and they're going to need those. Still a lot of pinks, though, for Kuro to work with. Ambition is going to go on a voyage through Peanut's jungle, takes out that Wolf Spirit, too. So this is actually nice by Ambition, just making sure that they can keep eyes on the Twisted Fate on the top side of the map at all times. They're going to clear out all of those pink wards.
It's certainly a battle of vision right now. ROX are going to answer it with some of the health and, of course, the bot side pink wards. So this is the big, strong struggle. It's all about getting any sort of exclusive vision around as Peanut steals away the blue.
Quick and easy grab right there. We saw last week that Peanut was averaging about 1.1 enemy buffs a game right now, which is quite high for some of these takeaways, and his invasions have been much more active. And the way the Tigers play is, they're very methodical in their League of Legends, and one of those things that they do is that you always want to try and control the buffs and contest the buffs if you can with the pressure, because it's a very low-risk objective. If you take it away, it's nice. It's not going to end the game for your opposition, but you can get these little advantages out of those situations, and that's what he's going to do. I mean, you have, there's the Destiny coming in, actually. Prey in the mid lane. There's the gold card onto Crown. Crown is slowed up there by the Frost Queen's claim. Gorilla now coming back. Ambition going to take the shot. There's the Phosphorus Bomb from Corki, and now they've got the Ignite down. It's just not going to be quite enough damage to finish him off. But they do some work, and they force Cube's teleport into the mid lane, and nothing actually burned really by the Tigers.
Yeah, really big skirmish, but as you mentioned, no strong victor. Coming back to your point about Peanut contesting enemy buffs, although that number 1.1 doesn't sound high, what it actually is more indicative of is that they contest enemy buffs a lot. That whether they get them or not, in the act of contesting the enemy picking up a buff, you have eyes on usually the enemy jungler, and if it's the case of blue buff, the enemy mid laner. And one of the stats that kind of works against the ROX, at least on paper, is low wards placed per minute, low wards cleared per minute. The thing Peanut does is because he spends so much time in that enemy jungle contesting buffs, contesting raptor camps, contesting everything, they don't need vision because, in general, you're going to expect the enemy jungler to be on the back foot and Peanut to be dictating the pace of the jungle.
Yeah, and that's another way that they can get away with the low wards, is because you control where the enemy jungler moves. They have to fight you with these buffs, so you know where they're going to be, and you force them to play that reactionary style of League of Legends. But there's also very little penalty for contesting a buff. If you have to give it up, you have to give it up. You just walk away back to your side of the map, and you waste a whole bunch of the enemy's time, as well as your time to a certain degree, but the information it gives you is extremely valuable, and it prevents them also from getting deep wards into your jungle, because their support and jungler have to waste a lot of time in their jungle dealing with you.
And when you're talking about the information it gives you, obviously there's timers, right? You're like, okay, the red buff went down, we'll contest it again in 5 minutes. But more crucially, your laners are like, okay, I know exactly where the enemy jungler is. He's probably calling in a laner to help him out as well. Now your laners can play more aggressive, more dominant, because they don't have to worry about being ganked. It's just layers upon layers of good stuff with Ambition.
Yeah, gets pulverized, now back in the lane. Ambition caught alone in the river. There's the Lantern, not going to be enough to take him out. Kuro nearly dies, though. Does hit the gold card onto Crown. Crown now on the retreat. Core JJ flashes over the wall for the kill onto Kuro, but Peanut's still there. He's still in pursuit. Gorilla comes over too. Wraith going to drop the box. Prey still looking for another rocket, but the kill will go to Peanut. 2 for 1 in the end. Kuro will fall to Core, but they pick up a couple members, the support and jungler of Samsung. Ambition there caught pretty far forward once again, just a little bit too much alone, and Wraith wasn't there just yet to pick him up with the lantern.
2 for 1, and because Cuvée didn't have teleport, had to start walking down, it gave Smeb more free time with the top side. Every time the ROX Tigers go even or better across the map away from this top lane, it just plays into Smeb, picking up more CS, getting some chip turret damage, picking up some more gold, and getting closer and closer to the point where Lissandra won't be able to lane against him.
Yeah, and Peanut again in the enemy jungle, this time at the red buff, gets the information about Ambition and then walks right back out. He knows Kuro's pushed up to his turret. He doesn't have an opportunity to ult right now, even though they do have the TP available to them. It would be disastrous for him to try and ult in Cuvé's face, would be quickly shut down. So he's getting that information, backing off, heading back to his blue buff, and he'll hand this over to his mid laner.
One of the reasons why Twisted Fate makes so much sense for the ROX Tigers is the one thing he's always provided is if you have a jungler that plays on that front foot, poor JJ takes a bit of damage, but if you're gonna expect Peanut to be in front of the enemy jungler, deep in enemy lines, Twisted Fate can react instantly. The port, the Destiny only has the second and a half channel time, and then you'll just get to the 2v1 much faster. You'll, in general, win those aggressive skirmishes more, so just allows Kuro to sit back and wave clear, but also be there to respond very quickly.
Ambition has to tunnel out of this one. There's Gorilla, does mess up his combo, so they can't follow up with a gold card from Kuro in a place where they can actually kill Ambition. Ambition, playing with fire again, just got collapsed on as Corki free to roam into that river from the bottom side of the map, and that's going to be quite the issue here. They keep making these mistakes. Blue buff is back up for Samsung at the moment. They're going to try and give it away. Meanwhile, possible dive coming on the top side. They're planning this around the blue buff, but they're not going to pull the trigger.
Yeah, very difficult. Cuvée has his flash up. Of course, hasn't used his ultimate either, so not the best chance of picking everything up. It was one of those situations where if Twisted Fate did leave lane, Elise was there to clear the wave, so they wouldn't have lost too much turret damage, but not worth the risk. Let's just throw out the spooky ghosts.
Why not just ghost all the time?
I mean, Kuro has the summoner as well. He's just rubbing it in.
So many ghosts.
He's probably going back to the shop trying to buy Twin Shadows. Disappointed that's been removed.
I'm disappointed it's been removed.
Come on, when was the last time we saw Twin Shadows Twisted Fate? 2 years ago?
No, people still used it.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they
Don't
did.
you start, Monte Cristo. They didn't buy it.
Well, they should have. The utility was great.
I agree. More gold cards is happy times for Twisted Fate.
All right, well, the Tigers' early aggression has subsided here. Not trying to make any more plays. Just waiting on Fiora in the top lane. No turret dives, really. No major attempts for a teleport play into the bottom side of the map. And Tigers delaying this dragon. It's actually a very late dragon for Korea this season.
Right. We've seen a lot of games where it could be the 6 to 8 minutes, but oh boy.
Hello. Braid is coming in. The package. No real follow-up there.
That was a warning shot with his package.
It was the warning package.
Yeah.
Just dropping it right at Ambition's face.
Well, you just know that this guy's crazy. He can do anything. The moment he's rocking the package, no idea what he's going to do.
That's what I love about Prey. You never know when he's just going to get into the front line.
It's when he played Corki in these like Corki Lulu comps last year with Randomly Die.
Uh-oh, Peanut caught out. There's the rappel right back to the minion wave, and the TP coming in from Fiora, but I don't think they're going to be able to follow up on this. Smeb just has to dodge out of the Death Ray and the Chaos Storm. It's a bit preemptive. They didn't have the crowd control to follow up, and that's a burn TP. Cuvée holds on to his.
You can see Fiora already walking back to lane. ROX were thinking about translating a pick into a dragon, but for now, again, returning to their original win condition. Outscale with Fiora, so why even bother with dragon if all the eggs are in the Fiora basket? It's just a distraction. You might lose the 4v4. Fiora might lose a couple of ways of farm. No. Just keep farming it, Tom. It's all good.
Believe in Smeb. In Smeb we trust, say the Tigers this game.
Worked out pretty good in 2015, specifically around the World Championship.
Yeah, it's been working out pretty well so far this season. Smeb's shown up on a variety of different picks. Peanut now harassing Ambition, tagging him with the red buff and executing an Elise combo on him, but no follow-up. Again, the mid lane has been pretty well controlled by Crown, having that superior wave clear and just keeping TF nice and close to the back of his turret. The pink wards of the river, handy for Samsung. Still not the most vision in the top side for Smeb. He has to be careful how far exactly he pushes up the river. But Peanut now, it's time for some solo dragon.
Solo dragon. See, the Spiderling's not doing too much tanking. Gone very defensive with his itemization. We've seen some Runic Echo at least, but I certainly, after Runeglaive was removed, prefer the tank Cinder Hulk option, and the magic resist stacking begins. They're against this Lissandra Victor duo. Aegis, probably Locket, and already the Abyssal Scepter completed for Kuro.
Yep, so it's a slow scaling here. They won the fights, they've gotten the gold lead, now they take the first dragon. So far, the ROX Tigers this season coming into tonight had a 70% first dragon rate, in addition to their 90% first blood rate. Samsung gonna try and respond here, but they don't have the pressure to do this. There's a flash gold card. Crown is just going to just get destroyed as Smeb comes down from the top side. Gorilla there comes out of the fog of war with a flash headbutt pulverize combo to lock him down and take away this Rift Herald buff.
And this is what having Peanut and Gorilla in your team means for you. How many times last season did Hojin's indecision get masked by Gorilla making active plays? Gorilla was the one often creating map pressure solo because his jungler just didn't have that mindset. Suddenly when you have Peanut in the enemy jungler's face and Gorilla, famous for always being the first person to make that roam, to make a skirmish, you get results like this. It's not stopping.
Yep, there's the TB coming in from Cube, so they have to flash out. Gorilla comes in with the pulverize immediately afterwards. He's gonna ult, but there's the ult from Gorilla. Kind of pointless there to trade that one. Ambition comes in, does get nailed by the gold card, stopped in his tracks. But Smeb has been left alone in the top side, and that's the first turret to fall.
As impressive as Gorilla was last year, adding this extra element, this aggressive jungler that he hasn't had in his career as far back as I can think.
No, he's never had it.
It's watch into Hojin as far as I can remember, and suddenly he has an aggressive jungler, and his aggression coupled with Peanuts is what leads to these impressive games we've seen from the ROX Tigers.
Yeah, that edge just keeps on growing. Get that mid lane turret, very valuable to, or top lane turret rather, very valuable to them. Now, Kuro comes back into the mid lane. They're trying to make a play onto a Gorilla. He doesn't have his ultimate, so he's just going to die. Nice job. Good hook there from Wraith. Good follow-up with the Ignite, and taking advantage of the lack of unbreakable will to make a play.
Also zone Corki off what was a half-health turret. They will get an objective for this, so kill an objective. Definitely a good sign for Samsung, but you can see lots of pings coming into the mid lane. If they can trade bottom lane for mid lane turret, that's a big win for ROX Tigers.
Crown is in danger here.
You think?
Peanut and Smeb lurking. They will be found out by the Ghost. Crown now has to use his cleanse on that gold card, but the Tigers aren't interested in fighting. And here we go. Cubate's going to come in with the Claw Ambition locked up, so there's no more crowd control. There we go. Flash ult onto Peanut. Peanut is going to fall. Kuro getting low right now. Wraith and Core JJ are here from the bottom lane. Kuro pops his Ghost. Smeb still on the run. Ambition with a tunnel under the wall, and Smeb is going to try and fight Crown. Here comes Gorilla. He's back, and now the fight continues. Smeb can't quite get the kill. Core JJ is very low. Smeb is going to fall. Gorilla with his ultimate on has to escape, and Prey nowhere to be found, still making his way back up, so they bite off a little bit more than they can chew.
I mean, they were fighting 3v5, Monty. Smeb even went back in after he'd already been able to slide basically out of the engagement. There was no way for Corki to react fast enough for them to actually get any semblance of parity in the fight. ROX Tigers a bit over-aggressive for the first time this game.
Yeah, overcommitted to that turret. They do get flanked and paid for it. Brown does get the Fiora ult down onto him.
This is 5 Samsung members. Smeb plays amazing. He actually riposts the death sentence to actually stun up the Thresh, but Smeb could have backed away, still decides to re-engage. Didn't look at the minimap, didn't know that Corki was nowhere to be found, and 3v5's not good odds if you're the ROX Tigers.
Smeb's use of riposte is continuously impressive, but Papa Smithy at the end, they actually do get a tower out of that entire engage, just because
one. Looks like 2 as well.
Yeah, here comes number 2. And so by the time the dust settles, it's actually 2 turrets for those 2 kills.
You could argue Smeb's re-engagement, the time he bought for Corki to push up the wave, was the big reason they picked up those objectives. So, look, it's probably giving a bit too much credit for an overzealous play by Smeb, but it certainly worked out.
Well, the reaction works out. Oh, they got the top turret, so just trading 2-for-1 towers. Cuvée did manage to make it into the top lane in time to trade that objective. Still first. All right. Alright, so first Dragon has been done. We're stacking up right now. Gorilla once again coming back in. Bray with the package crown way too far forward. Lantern will save Ambition, but they were primed to make that play in the enemy jungle. Peanut will eat a hook. Cube now coming back in. The dive is not ending yet. There's the repel out. Bray just trying to shoot some missiles in to the side. Smeb did use his teleport. They want more turrets right here. Taking some shots, but they're gonna have to wait for another wave. They've got maybe one left in them. Core is too low to stick around, and now Kuro still at full HP. Going to get the gold card onto Cube. Lots of poke. Phosphorus bomb coming through, and Cube is going to get nuked by Corki. Cube there used his ultimate earlier on, but probably should have saved it for himself. Instead, they target him, Prey with the Valk in, and he gets another kill.
You can just tell that Samsung aren't ready for the level of aggression from the ROX Tigers. They're used to playing these longer games. They're used to being behind in the early game, then just teams kind of mill around the middle. And how many games have we seen where the lane swap happens, outer turrets and top and bot go down, and then we just have the big ARAM farm fest in the mid lane? That's not how the ROX Tigers play. They are assertive. They do pick champions like Alistair who can turret dive early. And if they see a Victor in the mid lane, other teams will be like, okay, we can't really push this turret. Victor's going to wave clear. The ROX Tigers, what do they see? They see the prime opportunity for a turret dive.
Yeah, they didn't even have to turret dive the Victor in that particular instance. Gorilla just got into the enemy jungle, and they followed up with the Twisted Fate ultimate to lock down the kill. So Dragon number 2 is live, and the ROX Tigers make their way over to the Dragon Pit. They have the Rift Scuttler under their control. And they'll just go ahead and get this one uncontested. Ghosts are over. Peanut not even here.
We can check in also on the Fiora outscale cam. I believe the Ravenous Hydra, Black Cleaver, and now building into Magic Resist at 25 minutes is accelerated, and that's worrying.
Cube has done quite a lot, though, in spite of giving up that first blood to the dive early in this game. He's kept up in terms of farm. He's actually been a presence in a lot of these team fights for Samsung, but now they find themselves 5K in the hole at 25 minutes, and things are beginning to look grim.
And I agree, Cuvée is a good Lissandra. He has played smartly, but if you're going to pick Lissandra into Fiora, decently is not good enough. You need to be playing around that lane. We saw Ambition try to do that and always be bodied by Peanut whenever there was that 2v2 up top. And decent's not good enough. And the results will be, the proof in the pudding will be on display very short.
Samsung trying to group up in the mid lane right now and fight to take down this mid lane turret, but they are very much extended. Cube does have his TP available. Smebs is down. They have some options about how they're going to deal with this, but then again, the TF can get an easy flank right here. Calling use onto Prey, he will just sail out of that. And here we go, there's a flash cocoon, and that's just going to be the end of Core JJ. Gorilla there comes in from the flank, and Crown here caught also by the ROX Tigers. Ambition, another cocoon lands. Smeb is suddenly here. Cube used his TP, but somehow Smeb actually managed to make it there first.
The massive flash into max range cocoon. How confident do you have to be of your Elise play to even attempt something as crazy like that? But this is the undefeated Peanut on this Elise. They're going to start the Baron, and Ambition, good luck stealing this one.
Yeah, they're all just body blocking right now. Smeb going to hop over the wall and deal with Ambition, so he can't even attempt to steal. Nice Baron control there by the ROX Tigers. They pick it up easily. And man, that was a gorgeous team fight from the Tigers.
Watch how far away this cocoon comes and wait for the flash cocoon. Now, he does have Kuro coming as well.
Yeah, stack the CC a little bit sloppy, but Gorilla here, I mean, the follow-up in these fights, he's just going to nail another cocoon in the end of this one. Watch him onto Ambition. Another one just snaking around the minion wave. Beautiful mechanics.
And they come from every direction. Flashing over is the Twisted Fate. Elise coming from another direction with the flash. Suddenly you can see Fiora coming from the back. The multi-pronged attack against a team with good wave clear. This is the sort of comp that KT piloted to 4 wins in a row. And the ROX Tigers are already shown that they have its number.
This kind of play where you come in and you attack simultaneously from all angles really reminds me of how CJ Blaze used to look back at their peak. Now, Ambition will take a bit of poke damage as he gets in front of the turret and has to turtle. Oh, jeez. Well, it's happening, Papa Smithy. And the duel is going through. Actually, the flash Comes out from Cube to escape that sticky situation, but the TF ult is here, and Ambition doesn't get hit by the wild cards. Peanut trying to follow up. He's just a little bit out of range. Gorilla nearly falls to the turret damage, and this turnaround getting dangerous, but Kuro and Bray still at full HP, and they'll be able to burst down the Victor.
Bray's not done.
Oh, wow. Flash onto Core, and there's the inhibitor. Using this Baron buff to its fullest extent. Meanwhile, Cube has to back off. That means Smeb gets some free time on the top tier 2. He has his TP up to end this game if they so choose. He's just going to TP right into the middle of the base. Here comes Smeb onto the turret already, and they're just going to go straight for the Nexus. And that's going to be the end of this game very suddenly in under 29 minutes. The ROX Tigers pick it up, and that was very convincing.
Very much so. There was some uncharacteristic kind of poor mechanics. There was a couple of poor decisions made by the ROX Tigers, but the balance of play, the level of aggression, the tempo they play at is something that Samsung just was ill-equipped to deal with. Samsung has been playing late games with good wave clear, scaling into smart late-game team fighting. No time for late-game team fighting when the game ends at 29 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely not. And the Tigers, again, just getting right into the enemy jungle, not afraid to make plays and to pick up the dives. Sure, they'll trade you a kill or two, but the objectives that they acquire as part of that equation do lead them to very large gold leads.
And isn't it great that that aggression doesn't just come from Peanut, the man who was known for aggression. It doesn't just come from Gorilla, who's always on the front foot. Suddenly, Prey is just leaping in with the package, going for turret dives himself. Kuro's playing Twisted Fate and going for very aggressive ports rather than any sort of safe ports. Peanut's introduction has definitely washed over this whole team, and the result, every time they come on onto the Rift, is a treat to watch.
Yeah, it's so funny, Papa Smithy. The Tigers, #1 in gold differential at 15 minutes. Jinair #2. If you think about last year, that makes no goddamn sense. Those were the teams that played for the late game, that frequently had the early deficits, and now they are the top 2 in this league when it comes to early advantages.
And the shortest game times only get shorter with that 29-minute win.
That's right. We are going to be heading into game 2 between the Tigers and Samsung.